What's good? What is good? YouTube, what is good? Late night video, early morning video here. Technically, it's about 2:10ish, 2:15ish a.m. here. Hopefully you had a good 4th of July. I wanted to post earlier in the day, but there were various festivities going on because of 4th of July, in the first half of the day. And then the second half of the day, there was a really cool series of shows on the History Channel that was talking about kind of some of the history of the U.S. in terms of late 19th century, to early 20th century to the mid 20th century. So that was very interesting. So I was actually watching that for a few hours, and then now we're here. Now I'm finally getting to this video. Actually, I did record a video way earlier, in the day, in the morning, but I hadn't eaten yet by that time, so it was all jumbled, and I was saying and a bunch. So definitely do things on a full stomach, don't do things on an empty stomach. But yeah, so before I get into the content of the video, I'll just cover some logistics. Pretty exciting stuff going on, very exciting stuff, if I do say so myself. First, I'll talk about the Discord. So I created a Discord server. For those of you who don't know about Discord, it's basically just an application mainly used for gaming, it seems like. But it's a very cool application that you can download on your computer or your phone even. And basically, it's just you can create your own chat rooms, essentially. Personally, I'm still exploring the application, so I'm not quite sure all the stuff you can do. But you can add friends, you can create your own server, and then add people to that server. You can join other servers that are public. Yeah, and that's pretty much what I know about it now. Like I said, I haven't explored all of it, but I am part of a couple servers now. One of my, or actually three, I think. One of my buddy's server from high school. Actually, two of my buddy's servers from high school. One for the coding stuff I'm doing, the programming, and then actually I created another one, so you could say I'm part of four. But yeah, that's pretty cool. So it's called the Golden Server. If you're interested in that, definitely. I'll put links in the description to this stuff, but I have my name on there, riyoha #6071. Definitely add me, and then I can add you to the Golden Server. We have a good conversation going there. James Bard, Morph Gamer in there. Shout out to you guys. Very interesting stuff there, and hopefully that grows. I'd love for that to grow. That'd be very interesting. Rodent's Revenge, I'm looking at you. Join the server if you can. I know you're busy, but yeah. So that's that. Another set of logistics here, my email. So I'll probably start putting my email in the description below as well. anEssentialBusiness@gmail.com. Fairly simple. And yeah, definitely email me if you have any topics for me to cover, any questions, or anything interesting, honestly. Whatever. Even news. I'd just love to hear from you guys as subscribers. So whatever you guys want, just general stuff to uplift MGTOWs, it's up to you guys. Questions, definitely email me. So I'll definitely put that in the description below too. Yeah, so there's that. Then finally, in terms of logistics, 69 subscribers. Thank you guys. The channel's growing. And July, we're already having a very successful July. We had multiple 3 months in a row of really good success in terms of the channel, and July is looking to be very successful as well. So I'm glad we're getting up there. 3 subscribers so far this month, and all those comments I'll get to you guys. Don't think I'm just ignoring the comments, but there's just kind of more things going on, which is very exciting, and I'll get to all of that, all your comments and everything. Definitely keep commenting because I enjoy that. But yeah, I'll definitely get to that in due time, in the coming days here. Yeah, so that's that. I think that's all in terms of logistics. So before my memory card runs out, let's get into the topic of this morning's video, this early morning video here. So I kind of discussed actually, like all of that logistic stuff almost is the topic of the video in a way, in terms of men are creating communities online. So that will, I don't know exactly what the title of the video will be yet, but that will probably be part of it. Men creating communities online. So as men are kind of pushed out of society for some strange reason, there's actually, if you start studying history, it might just be a cycle or whatever. I'm not too sure. But as far as we know, since our birth, men have been kind of like pushed to the margins of society. Like, men in general. So, obviously, like, not every man. I just mean in terms of in general. Unless you follow a certain path, it seems like you're kind of pushed to the margins of society as a man. And also as a man, you're not allowed to kind of be your full self, let's say, at least from my experience. And I don't know if it's the same for all of you guys, but just judging if you're viewing this type of content and if you're subscribing to this channel, you probably witness kind of the same thing. A sense of general, like, unease, if that's the right word for it. Like, you couldn't, or at least you thought you couldn't before you found this channel. You thought you couldn't fully be yourself, or you kind of wondered, things aren't really logical, like this society doesn't really make sense in terms of just like what a society probably should be. And a society shouldn't be any specific way, I don't want to say that, but just if you want to have a society at all in general, there at least has to be some sort of underlying ethos that makes sense at least a little bit. And I don't want to get too far into that. I've covered parts of it in other videos, but that is a lot to discuss in and of itself. But if you're following this channel, you already have that sense of unease to where, things don't quite make sense to you as a man. Like, and I have some women that follow this channel apparently, so like maybe even as like a certain type of woman too, who knows. But so you're brought to places online. Like, what do you know? Like, places online, like this channel, or like my Discord, or things like that. And that's the thing that happens. So if men are pushed to the margins, what are you gonna have? Eventually, at first, you're gonna have, like, it's gonna be quiet. You're not really gonna see or hear much of them. But as time goes on and society goes down the same path and more men are pushed to the margins, you're eventually gonna get those men start to build their own shit. Because if they're not allowed to be themselves and build in the general traditional society that's going on and they're pushed to the margins, then they're just going to build their own shit on those margins. So what is the internet? The internet is essentially kind of the frontier of like technology in general, and kind of the frontier of even social, like a lot of social things. The internet's the frontier of a lot of things. And if you think about the internet, the commercial internet as we know it was kind of born in the mid-80s. The World Wide Web itself was created in 1993. So you're talking about a period of like 30 to 35 years that the internet as we know it and the web as we know it has kind of started to take form and take off and mature, if that makes sense. So 30 to 35 years, that's under 40 years. That's not even middle-aged. You have people, like, I think the average age in the United States is like around, like, to be honest, I think it's around 30 or 31, 32. So most people actually are older than the internet itself, which is funny when you think about it, but it is what it is. So just something being that new, it's clearly the frontier, and it's growing. I could bore you to death with the stats, maybe in another video, but it's growing like massively. All the internet and all of the applications on the internet, such as YouTube, such as Discord. If anything, Discord is one application that uses the internet and like the similar technologies. So that type of stuff, men are moving online, and there's a lot of reasons for that. Technology is inherently deflationary, and like that is a whole nother topic I would love to cover because I'm learning about that stuff. But there's a lot of reasons that men are moving to the internet, and why they have been for the past like 20 plus, like 20 to 25 years at this point. There's a reason for that. Yeah. So as men are kind of pushed out of like their previous positions of authority, their like previous positions in the labor force, as like the labor force itself kind of moves more toward I would say, at least in my opinion, a boring prospect for men with not as much reward, with not enough reward for a man to take on that kind of labor, if that makes sense. So the labor isn't even necessarily hard. And like I was watching these documentaries from the History Channel, there used to be really hard labor that men did, like very hard, very dangerous labor that the average man would be doing, like climbing skyscrapers like of steel and trying to build those up, or shoveling coal and things like that. At this point, you're not even talking about dangerous labor for a majority of guys. You're kind of more talking about boring labor for like the majority of men. That seems to be the state. It's more of boring labor than dangerous labor. But the rewards for taking on that kind of labor aren't like, it's not almost worth it for a lot of guys, which is why you see unemployment the way it is, labor force participation the way it is. And those are all interesting topics that I won't get too far into. But yeah, basically, guys are dipping on that because the reward isn't quite enough. Like, the incentive isn't enough for them to go to that. So, they move toward online. And because they don't kind of take on those roles, their, like, status or whatever the hell you wanna call it, in society isn't high, I guess. Like, to be honest, I hate to use those kind of terms because I think that's rapidly changing. Because like that's changing in real time, because when this many dudes are dipping on that, then the whole notion of like status and like positions of power and things like that, like this, it's all shifting, to be 100% honest. Because at some point, when enough people kind of go this way, and like all this stuff is built on like on the margins, then people are gonna, like, whatever that former kind of society was, it's not even gonna be seen as like legit or respected. And we're already seeing that. I do think we're early. Like, the people that are, the MGTOW channels out there, and the people that are subscribed and taking in this content daily, I do think we are still kind of early. So if anything, like, start making your moves on it now, because I think we're early, and then there's gonna be like a huge, I don't know if it's gonna be a crash or something, or like an awakening or some kind of thing, but I think we're still kind of prior to that, like, awakening or whatever you want to call it. Like, so if I would start making your moves now, so like you can be in a good position once that awakening happens, because I do think we're due for that in the coming years. I don't know if it's gonna be like months, but like we're getting to the point where it's like gonna be relatively soon, I think, because like, we were talking in the Discord. That's why I encourage you guys to definitely join the Discord discussions, because like as this channel gets bigger, hopefully, I'm hoping a lot of people move to that Discord, because we can like share news, we can share articles, books, just general things to uplift MGTOWs, just, but especially news, right? Like we can share opinions even, like anything you want, but especially news because you can see in real time if you pay attention. You can kind of see the trend of what's going on. It's like a trend, and then like if you're familiar with algebra, you have like a trend line, and then you can like take derivatives of that, so you can see the rate of change at certain points on the graph. And like if you just take the rate of change, like you if you like go down to the derivatives, you can like really start to see the picture of what's going on. Just, and also if you understand the landscape of what happened prior, so like understand kind of the previous sections of that graph too, you can really kind of start getting a picture about this and wrap your mind around what's going on. And then I'm honestly kind of excited about what's in the future for us MGTOWs, and you would be pretty excited too, to be 100% honest, if you understood the landscape of the previous history, kind of what's going on now, and like just looking into the future given that trajectory, you would honestly be excited too. So you'd be excited and you'd be working to like build your position, so once that awakening happens, like you'll be in good shape. So that's what I encourage you guys to do, honestly. Like, men are building communities online, and we're teaching each other, we're comparing notes, like we're kind of getting on our stuff here, right? Because at this point there's enough dudes to where, and dudes of all types, right? Like, so we're not just talking about the marginalized dudes, like maybe that, like, because the first dudes who kind of went on this path like decades ago were kind of seen as basically failures, and we almost are still, at least me personally, starting at YouTube, this is not seen as legit by my family or friends, or like I've lost friends off of just kind of my, like, sharing some of this stuff that I share with you guys. I do live in California, remember that, so we could be on like the far end of the spectrum in terms of a lot of this stuff, but I actually have literally lost friends over just sharing what I thought was just sharing the trends and the facts. Maybe I don't want to claim my facts are the proper facts or whatever you want to call it. I just try to share statistics about like single mothers and marriage rates and labor force participation. I try not to even put my opinions on it that much. But granted, I probably did put my opinion in it too much, because I've legit lost friends. Like, a lot of them were chicks, you know. So it is what it is, right? It is what it is. Yeah, so you'll probably still be, like, we're probably still seen as failures or whatever, like, you want to call it. Like we don't have those like well-paying bureaucratic jobs or whatever. Or maybe you do, you know, because I don't know everybody who follows my channel. So maybe you do, but you still have, you kind of understand. Okay, this is weird. But I think the narrative is quickly changing though. It's quickly changing, because now there's enough dudes of multiple backgrounds, all different types of backgrounds, that kind of feel this way and are moving toward this kind of content and this kind of worldview. So we're already at that point where there's enough to where, at least if you're seen as a failure to maybe your immediate peers, you're comfortable enough to understand, okay, this is actually a thing here, and I can move forward with this kind of like thinking, because like there's communities now.